We're heading over to edge of the Cedars State Park in Blanding, Utah. It's only about 10 to 15 minutes from our campground at Devil's Canyon. We're getting ready to embark on a journey back in time. The edge of the Cedars State Park Museum, located in Blanding, Utah, is not only a museum but also an ancestral Puebloan site and an archaeological repository, which houses the largest collections of ancestral Puebloan artifacts in the Four Corners region. Throughout the museum grounds, you'll notice numerous sculptures by Joe Pachuk, and he's an artist from Bluff, Utah. One of my favorites is the Ant-Man as he comes out of the ground or out of the Kiva. Some of the permanent exhibits feature one-of-a-kind objects, such as the macaw feather sash dated to AD 1150, and rare items such as the horse rock ruin basket collection and turkey feather blankets. Every object tells a story that brings us closer to understanding the ancient people. One of the most popular exhibits, Visible Storage, is a combination of laboratory space and exhibit. Glass walls allow you to observe the curator at work and see an extensive collection of pottery from southeast Utah, over 400 pots, and the latter from perfect Kiva ruin. The pottery dates from the late basket maker III period to the Pueblo III period. Imagine hiking in the canyons and finding a pot, a cache of digging sticks, or other artifacts. A special exhibit created in partnership with the Monticello Field Office of the Bureau of Land Management, Discovery, tells the stories of people who did the right thing by reporting their finds. These artifacts are now on view at Edge of Cedars, where they can be studied by scholars and enjoyed by visitors for years to come. The museum, murals created by Bluff, Utah artist Joe Pachuk, reproduce rock art panels of San Juan County. The Spirit Windows murals include some images that can no longer be seen because they're beneath the waters of Lake Powell. Next exhibit allows visitors a perched view of the Chaco-era Great House and a portion of its surrounding landscape through the windows of the tower room. Complementing these views is a set of fine panel illustrations that prompt visitors' imaginations to consider what might have been present at this important community center in AD 1075, probably just shortly after the Great House had been built. The panels also cue us to think about how the changing seasons affected the daily life in ancestral Pueblo farming communities. Populating these colorful murals are illustrations of artifacts that visitors can find on display in the halls of the museum. Finally, the exhibit reminds us of the amazing migrations that the Puebloans undertook in the late AD 1200s, and that though they are removed far to the south, Puebloan peoples have strong connections to the landscape in the Four Corners region. Out back, we're headed to the Chicoian Great House site. And it was really neat because we ended up seeing this collared lizard as we're walking over to the Kiva. And Ron had been wanting to see a colored lizard, and it was like, wow, look at this. They're beautifully colored lizards that are indigenous to this area here. So it was really a treat. We couldn't get a really clear shot, but he's really kind of cool. A great house and a great Kiva. In front of you stands an excavated great house constructed in the mid-1000s Common Era and occupied until around 1150 Common Era. Its builders crafted rectangular rooms with wide masonry walls that supported a building that stood at least 2 stories tall. Villagers added a kiva on the west side of the great house, perhaps to accommodate a particular family or to facilitate the rituals of one or more important groups in the community. After falling out of use for a few generations, a small group of people moved back into the site around 1215 Common Era. They built a kiva in one of the rooms on the east side of the great house. These occupants stayed only a few years at most before moving on. Villagers likely built the Great Kiva at about the same time as the Great House. Like the kivas in modern-day pueblos, great kivas were probably gathering places for community leaders and decision-makers. The Great Kiva at the edge of the Cedars remains unexcavated out of respect to the Pueblo descendants. The Great Kiva will remain undisturbed. In the Great Kiva, 70 people could comfortably sit side by side around the perimeter of this room. The space can be filled with many more people during social and ceremonial events. Many years ago, archaeologists incorrectly used the word Hopi term Kiva to describe individual subterranean family homes. Hopi people used the word Kiva to refer to their community rooms. Other modern Pueblo communities have their own words for special gathering places. This sculpture replicates prehistoric archaeoastronomy sites found in the southwest and acts as a laboratory to chart the sun's yearly migration. Archaeoastronomy is the study of prehistoric cultural connections with the sun, moon, and stars. By watching the interactions of light and shadow, a viewer can determine the time of year as well as significant solar events such as the solstices and equinoxes. Observing these events can help people better understand prehistoric archaeoastronomy sites and ancient community calendars. The people who lived at this site may have used solar markers to determine when to plant and harvest crops. Ancestral Pueblo skywatching traditions helped ensure the survival of the communities and connected people to solar, lunar, and other natural and social cycles. In closing, we really enjoyed the Edge of the Cedars State Park Museum. It's a fascinating place, and if you happen to be in the area, this is one place that you really don't want to pass up. Been road trekking with Row and Low. I hope you enjoyed our video on Edge of the Cedars State Park Museum, and if you did, please do subscribe. Thank you for watching and happy RVing.